hosted by G&A Partners. G&A Partners is one of our executive members here at the German American Chamber of Commerce. And one of the perks you can do as an executive member is host an event with us, such as this webinar. My name is Sandra Schmollen. I am the events and membership manager at the GAC South in Houston. And yeah, if you have any questions or anything during the webinar, feel free to write us in the chat. And we will be sending the slides and also the recording of this webinar to all registered participants afterwards. So don't worry too much about taking notes and please participate. Yeah. And now I'll pass it off to Patrick and David.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm Patrick Elmenthaler with G&A Partners, just a senior business advisor, as well as David Rodriguez. We both, I think, combined been in the business about 20 years or maybe plus, give or take. But want to make this really interactive. So I guess we'll kind of go around the horn and just, introduce yourself, what company you're with and kind of, I guess, the industry you're with. And we'll go from there. So Angelina, if you want to go first. Maybe not. Celicia, are you out there?
Yes, hi, I'm Celicia. I am currently in transition to my next role, but I was with Class in Americas, which is a German flooring manufacturer.
Awesome. Great. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you guys.
Sounds great. Martin?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. I'm having trouble with the camera, so
no, you're fine.
Can't seem to turn that on. Anyway, Martin Moore. I'm with Shell, based in Houston. Been with Shell for about 33 years, and I'm in an enterprise account manager role working with our large global IT customers.
Great. Nice to meet you, Martin.
Thanks.
Mr. and Mrs. Schober, are you there?
I am here. I'm also having issues somehow with the camera. I hope you can hear me.
Sure can.
Yes.
Yeah, so Michaela Schobert, I'm with the Ertzen Group, Director of European Business, and we are doing executive and professional recruitment. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Sounds good. Well, I'm going to go ahead. I'll try not to bore you to death, and I'll make this as interactive as possible with our slide deck. So I'm going to share screen real quick. And let's hit start. Are we seeing my notes or are we seeing?
We're seeing this. There you go. The notes. Yeah, you got to go back one.
Yep. Hang on a second.
We lost you.
No, you're fine. How about now?
It's coming. There you go. Perfect.
Awesome. Sounds good. So yeah, like we said before, G&A Partners, we're basically an outsourced people strategy company. And that means a whole lot of different things. From, simple HR issues here in the US, payroll, benefits, anything from compliance, handbooks, and things like that. We've partnered with the GACC many times over for, German or foreign entities that want to start a base here in the US, being that our employment laws in the United States are quite different than a lot of those internationally. And I'm sure you'll find that throughout any experience with any company. Then that's a little bit different. A little background on us. I won't spend a whole time. We started in 1995. We have about 3,800 clients, over 100,000, worksite employees, across the US. A bunch of different offices. Here's some awards we have, Better Business Bureau, Inc. 5000. We're definitely certified with the IRS and things like that. A little bit that differentiates us between maybe another PEO, which stands for Professional Employer Organization. There's probably 100 different ones across the country, some very large, some very small. We're privately owned. Like I said before, over 25 years in operation. Very competitive in terms of transparency and things like that. We're never really gonna, throw out a solution and not have the details would be the point on that one. The other thing I would say for our client base as a whole, we carry a 92% client retention rate, meaning 8% of our total clients, decide, hey, I'm going to use a different partner, or maybe, not do business here anymore or anything like that. And what brings us to that 92% client retention rate is, basically a 6-to-1, service team to client ratio. So we don't use AI in people strategy. While that's very quote unquote efficient, it's not very effective. We find that what we do in different companies is very intimate, meaning, benefits and payroll, which really impacts employees, their families, and things like that. And so when you want to interact with G&A from a client side, there's usually a lot of emotion tied to it. And while that may be efficient to have AI involved in that, we're human beings, and we want someone to recognize our emotions, empathize with them, and then take accountability for that. So that's kind of the background as far as that goes. The different things that we offer, excuse me, just on a baseline is obviously talent acquisition on the front end. So if you think of, people strategy as a life cycle, from hiring all the way through, how we pay them, what kind of benefits they experience, different employee relations things, up to and including, hey, how do we train people for that big transition from individual contributor maybe to a leader of people? That's a big unknown for people. What can you say in an interview? What can't you say in an interview? During performance evaluations, what should be said, what shouldn't be said, things like that. So we're here to train you and your team on that. On risk and safety management, that's anything from, workers' comp, safety protocols, how do we report these things? How do we mitigate any of them from happening? And things like that. The next square is one we all hate, regulatory compliance. And that seems like a really big word, but most companies, especially with post-COVID and things like that, have multi-state teams, meaning someone, you hire someone in Colorado who's remote, or God forbid, you hire someone in California that's remote. Every state has very, very different approaches to employment law and what's required there. So when you partner with G&A Partners or a company like ours, that's on us to make sure that everybody's up to date, we're compliant, and nothing comes from that in a legal term. In terms of separation, some people may retire, they may want to move on to a different organization. We're here to help you with that as well. What's best in practice when we're terminating someone, what's best in practice when someone's terminating themselves, however that might look or feel, we're here for that. You guys have any questions so far? Nope. Great. This is just some more bullet pointed things in terms of how we deliver that. And it's lots and lots and lots and lots of different things. From talent acquisition, pre-screen testing, to setting up payroll. Do we want to do a direct deposit? A lot of manufacturing teams have people who want a pay card for whatever reason. We can do that as well. How do we report things within our general ledger? How do we report things to maybe some stakeholders within the organization from an HR standpoint? We help with that as well. The next, I think if there's one, I hate to say this, but I'll say it. If there's one thing that's sexy to talk about in HR, it's benefits. That's what affects everybody. That's what motivates a lot of things. So there becomes some investigation and decisioning of what do we offer people? Do we offer benefits? Do we not? Do we offer high deductible plan? What does all this mean? How do we educate our people on this? And that's what we're here for. And that's why people partner with us. We do offer a retirement vehicle here in the US. There's lots of different laws around that. I would say the positive part in partnering with a company like ours is we're the fiduciary of the 401k. So you don't have to do any of the what's called 5500 filing or top-end testing or get in trouble with ERISA statutes or anything like that. And then that blue box on the end, employee relations, that goes more towards, a little bit of the compliance piece. What does our handbook say? Do we have any blind spots in that? I like to share a lot of experiences that I find, out in the wild, if you will. Most of the blind spots we see today in handbooks involve social media strategy. everyone's going to get themselves in trouble on the internet somehow. How do I, mitigate that risk to my company? And how do I put different statutes in my handbook to address that? So we see that a lot. FMLA, Family Medical Leave Act Administration. If you're over 50 employees, that's definitely applicable. We'll help with that. Is our onboarding smooth? I've seen some very good cases and some very poor cases in terms of when you hire someone, they go through the interview process, but one of the most important days of their career in your company or organization is going to be their first day. And to me, first impressions are everything. So if it's spotty and do you have a desk for them, even all down to do we have a name badge, do we have things like that? We're going to help you with that. How the system looks. How do I educate them on the benefit package that we're offering? And how do we set up direct deposit? How do we make sure they sign off on different things? That's what we're here for. We use both human beings and technology to do that. So very high tech, high touch as well. David, anything to add on that?
No, keep covering it very well.
Yep. Okay, sounds good. Getting back into I don't like how these are black, but its color means everything. So training and development, obviously we talked about that a little bit. We have some online, training as well, a big whole catalog of things actually. But again, one of the biggest trainings we have are either sexual harassment once a year or that education between individual contributor going to a leader of people. That is the biggest instance statistically of ways companies get themselves into trouble through HR. Whether someone said something they shouldn't have, someone takes offense to that. And that's where we go. That's where we help you out there. Obviously, risk and safety management, we kind of talked about a little bit, OSHA guidance. Post-accident, if something does happen, we're here to help get the employee back to work as soon as possible. Excuse me. Regulatory, a lot of boring stuff in there, but we're here to help. And again, separation, we discussed that. I won't spend a bunch of time on that. But all that to say, what that does is just increases your profitability, meaning, can we make things more streamlined? Can we put processes in place where we're not overpaying on hours that aren't worked? Are we overpaying for, different vendors and things like that? Productivity kind of goes all the way into that bottom line. Can we have employees or even HR departments? We're not here to replace anyone's HR department. We actually want you to keep your culture within your organization. We're just here to take those mundane tasks off your plate. And again, that comes down to time, more time to focus on, the mission at hand, less on the transactional HR stuff. These are just some of the industries that we really do well with. Obviously, professional services, for those of you in Texas, energy, oil, and gas. We work with a lot of government contractors, nonprofits. Healthcare is a big one. That seems to be a very an industry that a lot of people don't want to help out with in terms of healthcare because it's hard to ensure, healthcare workers in terms of just demographics in general. Any questions? Excellent. Skip over a lot of these slides, but I'm a picture person. So what we find is most people who don't utilize any outsourced, vendor or things like that in terms of people strategy, in this instance, ABC Corporation, they have, 5, 6, 10, 12 different vendors, and you have to get software to talk to each and move data back and forth and things like that. And it gets complicated. And sometimes if one of the links in the chain don't do what they're supposed to do or anything like that, everything gets wonky. So what we do is basically we're just the middleman. So we're a single source solution. We bring payroll, time and attendance, benefits, retirement, risk and compliance, workers' comp, and HR support all in one. So you're not having to hope that each vendor works out what they had said they were going to do. We're going to deliver all of that for you. Anything to add there, David?
No, I think to add to Patrick, what Patrick is saying is a turnkey solution allowing companies to focus on their main core of business and making sure that you have a partner in place that takes care of the payroll, the benefit administration, recruiting, onboarding, compliance, risk management, HR support, employee development and training, time and attendance tracking, all those things that can take you away from the focus of your company. G&A will allow you to, focus on your mission and give you all the tools you need to run an efficient organization.
Thanks, David. And here's how it's one thing to talk about how we do it, but how do we actually deliver all of that? So, one client in the center is going to have several different specifically trained people to help them. Obviously, every client we have has a client advocate, which is kind of the main point of contact. That's going to be your triage person for, hey, I'm not sure who to go to with this issue, but I need help with this. They're going to help you. They're going to advocate internally on your behalf. But you will have a payroll specialist, which interacts mostly with the client on a day-to-day or once a week or however that works to help you administer payroll and make sure everything's going well. We have a benefits specialist and a benefits account manager. The benefits specialist will actually help, process claims, things like that on the benefits side. The account manager's mainly there for more strategic. So a couple times a year, they'll sit down and have a very strategic conversation with you. I bring this up a lot. There's a great responsibility that not many people talk about. And that's where when your team members turns 26, you become the first experience they have with healthcare outside of their mom and dad. And I remember just a few years ago when I had my first experience with healthcare, it was a woman came to me, handed me a packet and said, we got to pick something. And I remember vividly being, oh, okay. I didn't want to ask a lot of questions because I didn't want to sound dumb, for lack of a better term. I didn't want to show any weakness of whatever. So I just picked the cheapest thing back then. And that worked out for me. But, as employees grow throughout their own lives, whether that's they get married, they have kids, there's different needs in terms of a people strategy. And that puts different pressures on your current strategy as well. Do we offer things for family? Do we have different ancillary products that people might want and expect out of a Fortune 500 people strategy? So that's what that benefits account manager is there to really put some strategy around.
Yeah.
Obviously, the 401k specialist, you need to go, David. Go ahead.
Now, I wanted to add that, one of the things about a professional employee organization, the driver, we hate to say that the driver sometimes is benefits, but when you are trying to attract and retain top talent, a lot of times the benefit package is one of those things that can make or break an employee join the organization. One thing that we do as a professional employee organization or PEO is we put you in a large pool of employees. So let's say, for example, a company of 20 employees looks like a larger company. We're able to get better rates and give those rates to you as a small company to allow you to compete with the big boys and be able to offer competitive health plans that would definitely, help you grow your workforce.
Great point, David. And that's definitely, I guess, the unique thing that we do offer. The kind of the right side there is obviously we have a technology support team. We do have a robust platform that delivers all of this on the technology side. We'll have your safety specialist, hey, they come around once a year and they'll give, notes. Hey, maybe we want to, if it's a physical location, maybe we want to do steps, a yellow stripe here so we don't have any trip and fall accidents, things like that. Maybe in some of our medical practices, hey, what's our biolab protocol, things like that. And then if something were to happen, your workers' comp claim specialist is there as well. So you're not just having to guess on what to do next. Just give us a call. They'll walk you through next steps and things like that. So that's how we deliver everything. Any questions? Excellent. I would say the big focus at G&A is client satisfaction. Again, going back to we actually put people in people strategy. That leads to, we're 2 times higher in terms of net promoter score. So once a month, for good, bad or indifferent, we send our clients an opportunity to basically just rate us. Hey, how are we doing? How's this relationship working out? 1 to 10, 10 being, hey, we're staying married, we're going to have more kids, to 1, I'm out of here and I'm taking the car, the dog, the house, and everything with me. So we monitor that month to month. If anything, is a 6 or below, we actually have a human being reach out to discuss, hey, what could we do better? and then we take action upon that. And that's why we see that the very high retention rate with our clients, because they enjoy the relationship between us. This is just an example of different net promoter scores, throughout different industries and things like that.
Yeah, just real quick, Patrick. I wanted to add that, Patrick and I have been involved in the GACC for quite some time now, and we always see value in what we do, and that we always want to bring that value to the members. I mean, so when it comes to a company like G&A, Patrick and I worked under the PEO that didn't have a net promoter score, and we actually, used to partner up with the GACC. But now, G&A Partners is very hands-on when it comes to customer service and client satisfaction, that they are very proud of the net promoter score, and they like to see the good, the bad, and the ugly when those scores come in. We celebrate the good, but we address the ugly to make sure that becomes good as well. And again, client satisfaction is key. And I think if you satisfy your clients, ultimately, everyone's happy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Next slide just kind of discusses our technology platform. So we own the technology. We have an app. So, if someone needs to check their, PTO, request PTO, look at their paycheck stubs, things like that, we do have an app on their phone for that as well. And includes everything, whether it's time and attendance, whether they can do some onboarding tasks through their phone as well as on the platform as well. And that's all just part of our relationship. Here's some pictures of that as well. I'm a picture person, so it's easy to read, it's colorful, it's intuitive. David, anything you want to add on that?
No, that's good.
Okay. And again, we specifically spoke about 401k. We do have a multi-employer plan, so we take all 3,600 clients, and we pool all of everybody together in one large 401k. It offers very robust economies of scale through Solvic. And we do all the administration. You don't have a TPA involved. We handle all the loans, things like that, things that are just not fun to deal with. In terms of our benefits offering, it's Section 125 group medical, dental, vision, life. We offer an employee assistance program, which works out pretty well. There's a liability built into that where a lot of people don't really talk about it, but if someone comes to you and says, hey, I've got this going on in my life, and you say, hey, listen, I did this when I was your age. If that, advice happens to blow up in their face, from a company standpoint, you are liable. So we have the employee assistance program, which if anything's going on in their life, whether it be, I don't know, financial, maybe some marital issues, adoption, substance abuse, hey, call the EAP. They'll set you up with free 3 1-hour sessions with a professional. And then we usually try to attach that to their benefits, whether it's through the company or their spouses, so they can continue on with those professionals to address whatever issues going on there. We're going to handle all employee calls regarding benefits and coverage and claims and things like that. So you won't have to involve yourself in that as well. We have a lot of voluntary benefits, up to and including pet insurance. So if you want pet insurance on, your schnauzer, we can do that as well. Lots of different carriers, things like that. Kaiser, Anthem, Cigna, all the big names you'll know we've partnered up with across the country. We have a wellness program that's built in. We use that internally, and it's kind of nice. I think it was last summer we did a floss your teeth initiative for a month, where I got a text message every morning at 7 a.m. that said, did you floss your teeth? I'm going to freely admit it didn't change my life, but I do floss my teeth a lot more because of that. And then you can use different, participant, competitions and things like that, whether you win some company swag, biometric kind of checkpoints along the way, but that's there as well. Again, on the platform, these are just some different examples of, hey, employees don't want to share personal things going on in their life, like, hey, I got a divorce, I need to maybe remove my former spouse from there, or hey, we're having a baby, how do I do that? It's all right in the system. And then when they actually go to sign up for benefits, they're able to lay, different plans side by side to compare. Whatever plans you're offering, it'll show a very granular or high level, here's what this plan is, here's what this plan is, and then what is this going to do to my paycheck? So they'll know specifically how this affects them. Just different ways they can sign up here for benefits. The client services kind of onboarding is pretty smooth. We have basically a 90, 120 day where the team, stays with you on a day-to-day point of training and getting everybody familiar with the systems and the employees and things like that. Go ahead, David. You have anything?
No, I just wanted to going back to the point of the value of G&A for GACC partners is, for example, subsidiary companies that, come to the US, try to navigate employment laws, payroll, HR compliance, all that stuff can be very overwhelming. Partnering with G&A or a company like us simplifies those complexities. We take care of the essentials HR functions, ensuring full compliance with US regulations while managing employee benefits, payroll, risk mitigation. This allows companies to focus on their core business, reducing administrative overhead, scale efficiently. Leveraging G&A basically gives international companies more operational control while ensuring the U.S. workforce is fully supported and compliant. And I mean, we probably never heard of G&A. We are privately held, but we are large and in charge. We're there with the big boys in this industry. I think that most companies that come over from overseas get set up with the first slide that Patrick showed, which is a multi-vendor solution. Here's a broker for workers' comp. Here's one for benefits. But if you were to go under a PEO, a lot of times you can save yourself also money in the process. Because just to give an example, and of course, everything's the case by case scenario. I have a client right now that I have 20 employees, and I did their medical, and I'm saving them $85,000 on medical now. Once I do my admin and all my fees, I'm still saving them 56. Now that doesn't apply always. Sometimes we're upside down, but no one is half the battle. And if you've never tried to, try to quote yourself under this model, you won't know. You could be overpaying or you could be in the right place, but you have to try to take a look at it because it doesn't cost you anything to see what your state would look like under G&A or under a PEO.
Yeah. So I'm going to involve some audience participation. Michaela, do you mind?
I actually would like to, if you can put me back a few minutes if necessary, but
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, I just wanted to kind of get your take on how doing recruiting and things like that, how important a kind of a Fortune 500 people strategy is for small companies versus, say, just something little. So if you want to think about that and maybe jump in later, I would appreciate it. One of the other things, and again, to kind of summate what we do offer is kind of that large company look and feel to your people strategy. Whether you're 5 people or 15 or 50 or 100, whatever that looks like, we're here to help you do that. And another, way we do is kind of the online community, which is the bridge. We have different ways to interact with your employees, whether there's discounts, things like that. We have that as well. David, any topic you want to jump into right now, or do you want me to just keep going?
No, you can keep going. I think that one of the things that I wanted to mention was we do have a travel insurance. I know that sometimes having, German companies in the U.S. traveling back and forth, but we can cover that as we move along with anyone who's interested at looking at G&A. We can always address that down the road. But we have
Sounds
a lot
great.
of ancillary services and benefits. We also have perks at works where you get discounts on your cell phones, and Costco, Sam's Club, things of that nature. There's a big community of discounts as well. So there's many perks that are also involved with being under a PEO.
Yeah. This is more granular level that we touched on the beginning. So we help you, post jobs online, organize the applicants. So a lot of times you'll have a flood of applicants and you're like, oh my gosh, what do I do with all that? Well, our system actually helps you organize them. You can rank them by, different things that you're looking for. You can, kind of collaboratively put notes in after interviews of different people, and just helps you kind of streamline everything. Here's some pictures of that. in terms of payroll. Again, kind of went over everything, but here's kind of a look and feel of kind of the payroll dashboard. Pretty easy interface, things like that. The one thing about payroll that always comes up is how do I track hours? Well, we have a solution for that. We use a Chronos-based system that allows you to do all kinds of different things. You can do shift diff, you can do different tiered hours. If someone works maybe at one end of the plant versus another and there's a different pay rate, it'll account for that. We can do different clocking in, clocking out mechanisms, whether it's cell phone, whether it's RFID, whether it's biometric, so on and so forth. And it's intuitive to where if the employee has a missed punch, they can go back and correct that. It doesn't have to be through a supervisor, or if you want it to be, we can do that as well. This is kind of the time clock dashboard we were talking about. Time clocks are, pretty new and exciting, all that good stuff. But what that does is kind of accounts for, lost wages or hours that you might pay. Someone, clocks in early or late, you can track all that things and get very specific on what you're looking to hone in on. We have an expense management system as well. So if you have someone maybe who travels, entertains clients, things like that, that all rolls back into payroll. So it's not something you have to spend hours, putting receipts on a copy machine. You can take pictures with your cell phone, things like that. Go ahead, David.
I know, just listening to taking pictures to the cell phone.
Yeah, I'm lazy, so I like to do that. And I always lose receipts, or I put them in my wallet, or I put them on my dashboard, and then the sun hits them and they blanks them out, and then I'm stuck. So, we talked about employee relations. We get into a lot of different things here. David and I could sit here for 2 hours and tell you all kinds of crazy stories that we've run into over the years. There's lots of them. And there's always new ways employees find to get themselves in trouble and over different things. So we're just here to help with that, whether it's through the handbook, disciplinary action, maybe some guidance on employee performance management. I've had startup companies that don't have a handbook, and we'll get a call, hey, so-and-so, shows up 15 minutes late continuously. Okay, well, how do you address that? Well, where's that in the handbook? Oh, we don't have one. Well, if it's not there and the employee hasn't signed off on those specific kind of rules, then there's nothing to go back to. So it sounds very simple and whatnot, but in different scenarios, it does pop up. One of the other things, especially with foreign or German companies that we have, is what the heck do we pay people in the US? Like, I don't know. We hire somebody in Greenville, South Carolina. Well, do they make the same amount of money as people in New York City? Typically not. So we'll do salary surveys and say, hey, here's typically for that specific position in this city, this is what, the average is to pay. Here's the high, here's the low, here's what normally people get paid from that point. So it gives you some good guidance. On the onboarding, pretty simple. It's just an activity board. People walk right through it. It's picture driven, very simple, easy, digestible. So you would, hire somebody in the system. You would say, hey, you're going to start on this day. We can send an email out as early as 90 days ahead of time so they can knock out all their onboarding. So they don't have to waste that first day of kind of sitting around waiting for the next thing. We're going to do all of that for you. Performance management, we have that as well. We can get into a lot of detail on that if you'd like at another call, but it covers everything from goals to how we're working towards that. Like on this one, leadership skills. I want to increase my sales by 15%. How are we going to do that? It'll track all that. And then, moving on to training. I'm kind of fitting a lot into a small amount of time, so bear with me. We have a very robust learning management system, if you indeed want to do that. We'll kind of skip through a lot of the safety stuff. Regulatory compliance, no one really has to talk about that, but just know that we're here. That's usually where people start to glass over when I talk about this kind of stuff. But, it's a lot of different things that affect us. The Affordable Care Act, obviously, we all know that. Occupational safety and health, that's some other stuff. The ADA, the FMLA, the FSLA, and about 52 different acronyms that you can say. I once saw a chart where I think it was 50 years ago, there were two employment laws that applied to hiring and employing a human being in the US. Now I think it's over 84. So there's a lot of different complexities, and it varies, like we talked about, from state to state. Again, on kind of the separation, we'll do COBRA administration, unemployment claims, we'll handle all that for you. And then there's lots of different ancillary services as well. We do outsourced accounting. We can do recruitment process outsourcing. So if you say, hey, I want to hire this job for the company, and we're not really sure what we're looking for, but here's some things that we would like for that position. Our team will go out and find that for you on a case-by-case basis. Different case studies here we'll send out to you. And that's kind of it. I'm going to go ahead and stop the slideshow because I hope everyone's still awake. I try to make it better. We had some more people jump in. So we'll kind of spend the last couple minutes. I want to just, a lot of times the answers are in the room, if you will. So if anybody has any questions in terms of anything people related, we're here to help. And maybe somebody else in the room has the answer. In the past, and probably the past couple of weeks, I've had a couple things pop up in terms of wage and hour guidance state to state. I don't know if you guys run into that, but we can cover that. Does anybody have anything they want to kind of throw out there?
Yeah, it's Martin. I was just wondering, can you talk a little bit about who some of your clients are?
Yeah, in terms of just the client base in general?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a lot of small technology companies, a lot of startup companies. I can speak on some here in Atlanta. We've got some private equity groups. We've got venture capital companies. We've got different manufacturers. Anything from, I had a client that manufactures fire hoses, which is, who knew, right? We get into all that kind of stuff. Different law firms, skilled trades in terms of HVAC companies. We've noticed a big trend lately where private equity will buy up different like-minded entities, put them under one umbrella, and then they say, well, how do we deal with, I'll use an example of 4 different heating and air companies across the country. They were started by individual families. They all have different cultures and things like that. But how do we address that from a global perspective and put together a people strategy that works for them? So it's on us to say, okay, well, let's take a look at this. What do we want to do? What do we want to offer? What do we want this to look like? And we'll put that together for companies. Is that kind of your question, Martin?
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I couldn't find the unmute
button. No,
that's
fine. And it's a broad answer, but I mean, we work with companies that are 2 people all the way up to thousands of people.
Understood.
And the thousand.
I have a couple of not-for-profit as well.
Yeah,
that's another big one.
We have lots of nonprofits actually. Seems to be an area where the budget's small because we're working with a nonprofit, the board, things like that, and in that case with nonprofits, people choose the mission, not necessarily, they're not there to make $1 million. They're there for the mission. So we do what we can to help offer the best possible people strategy, to really just help their families out while they're doing the mission.
Thanks.
Yep. Anybody else have anything? If I have any advice from my way too many years of doing this, if you go to hire a person in California, New York, or any of that area, be careful. I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just reality. Lots and lots and lots and lots of state regulations that here in Georgia, we're not used to. For instance, I'll give you a couple of examples. In California, you must offer a retirement vehicle to any employee. That's law, things like that. It gets more complicated when you get into wage and hour guidance. Obviously, there's federal minimum wage. In these states, there's usually some sort of county mandate. Then there's local, municipality, and things like that. And it gets difficult. What do you pay somebody who's maybe starting in the very beginning of their time with your company, maybe on a line? What's minimum wage look like? If you're over 50 employees, how do I deal with being an applicable large employer, meaning you have 50 employees or more, with the IRS? There's a whole host of regulations and forms you have to fill out for the IRS called Section 56 reporting. That's something we do for you. So that's kind of the thought process there. Nobody else has anything, huh? It's an easy crowd. By the way, welcome Angela and Mayra. And Jelani, I don't think we got an introduction to you. If you guys want to, feel free to come off mute. Let us know, who you're with and what your company does.
I can go first. Hi.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
No worries. I'm actually there you go. Hi. I'm actually with GICC South, communications manager. So just listening in.
Yeah. Good. I hope you didn't get a good nap during all this.
Yeah. Very nice. No.
Yep. Hey Mayra.
Thank you.
So hi, I'm Myra. I'm also with the GHC. I'm a membership manager, membership associate for our members in Georgia, Tennessee, Florida. But yeah, I just wanted to chime in briefly.
Yeah, well, glad to have you. Glad to have you. John, did you want to introduce yourself or anything? Nope. Okay, sounds good. Well, with that, I mean, that's pretty much what we had. We just want to kind of tell you guys, here's what we offer. Here's how we can help, maybe improve your people strategy or maybe your client's people strategy or things like that. For foreign entities, or even if you've already have an established entity here, we're here to help.
Yep. I think ultimately giving small companies that come overseas to the US a larger look to be able to offer better benefits to their employees in the US to attract and retain that talent. I think that G&A gives companies that come from, let's say, Europe or South America an easier way to do business in the US while we take care of the compliance piece and provide the components they need to hire their work staff, when it comes to benefits, running payroll, doing direct deposits, things of that nature.
Appreciate it, David. So kind of in conclusion, I want to give you guys the best gift you'll get this week, and that's time back in your day. So we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining. We'll follow up with slides. Our names and numbers are attached there with email as well. Feel free to reach out with any questions, and hope to see you at different events here in the future.
Yeah, because Patrick's in Atlanta and I'm in Charlotte, so I do go to the events here in Charlotte.
And you'll see me around in Atlanta. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye now.